The Langford Five. Full of the...
Tressa's Day Out. This one kind of focuses on her a little bit more.
Yeah, but is the name of our show going to be Tressa's Day Out?
I don't know.
Because we're still pitching it as the...
We still have not actually come up with a real name for this show yet.
Got Swamp Things I Hate About You.
I like that one. Yes. Swamp Things I Hate About You.
There you go.
Hello and welcome to
Swamp Things I Hate About You.
This is Meryl.
And Eric.
And today we're going to be reviewing What's the word? What's the word for what we're doing with this?
I guess it's like
recapping?
Recap review.
Yeah.
Given our...
Kind of just giving a beat for beat of what the show is.
10 cents on what we're seeing and what we've seen.
Yeah. So this is episode 5 of Swamp Thing, the series. Blood Mist.
Blood Mist today.
Blood Mist. So this one starts off in Arcane's lab with a blue-faced, goateed man chained to the wall.
Yeah, and definitely a science experiment going on here. There's also a buddy of his who approaches right off the bat.
Holding an empty mason jar and a fetching blue eye patch.
Yes. And he exclaims, if you come near him, he's gonna want to kill him, basically.
Yeah. He calls out to Arcane where he's like, oh, it's ready. You might want to kill me when you come in here. And so it sounds like he did something that... It sounds like he messed up at first.
It could be an oops, but it could be intentional. We don't really know at this point, but the opening credits are gonna roll regardless.
I do like referring to the opposite of an accident as an intentional.
Yes, yeah. Definitely an intentional might be happening here. But yeah, then roll opening credits after that 9-second intro.
I do the things that men do, but I'm a swamp.
That's not even close.
It's similar. That's kind of what
you did better. I mean,
Well, I had the drum beat. That's pretty easy to memorize. I stole the easy part.
Yeah.
Gave you the whatever synthesized piano keyboard there.
Yeah, there's something going on.
But yeah, so we cut back from credits and we learn, I guess vaguely, but I had to double check this by reading the credits and looking on the subtitles of the show, that the man in the blue eye patch is named Crown Prince.
Crown Prince.
He is not referred to anything else, by anything else in this episode. He's actually hardly referred to by name at all in this episode.
So anyway, we get back to the action after the credits, and it shows Arcane and Crown Prince discussing
his project, which appears to be a some kind of mist, which consists of red liquid in a mason jar bubbling and producing smoke, that should make anyone in the world want to murder whoever inhales it.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, breathes it in.
Yeah, because he's like, I breathed in more than enough for 10 men my size, and I'm like, where's he getting these statistics from? How does he know how much this would take.
He's breathed a lot of this mist in.
I guess it's all theory.
Goes out on the weekends, breathes in a bunch of blood mist, and it's just what's rare in this case is that he's got some contained. Actually.
The closest thing we have to something like that is a party drug, where it's just like you go out and you huff some mist, is like Whippets.
Yeah, that's possible.
But with Whippets, Whippets are fun because you get a little snack at the end.
Yeah, with Blood Mist, it's the other way around because you enjoy none of it, and everybody else is just pissed.
Yeah, and he says he talks to Swamp Thing later and says his reasoning for making it, and it's just like that doesn't make sense of why you're working with Arcane and why you're not making Murder Mist. But it doesn't work. For some reason, it doesn't work at this point. So Arcane tells him to throw it out after kind of vaguely threatening him, maybe hitting on him. Because dude really respects Arcane.
Yeah,
He's like, oh, that's why I love you as a mentor. You're so unpredictable. And how does that make a good mentor? Unpredictability doesn't...
If you can learn, if life is a test and you can learn from everything, then maybe there's something to be learned from having a bad boss.
When life zigs, you gotta zag.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Arcane goes and tells him to throw it away, basically.
So
he goes on to some speech. Well, no, he doesn't tell him to throw it away. He's at first he's like flush it down the toilet, and then he gives some speech about no, don't throw it away. My father told me, always keep everything, whether it's a mistake or a triumph. And
then that inspires Crown Prince to throw it away.
Yeah. So we cut to the swamp.
And Teresa riding her bike down a kind of grassy-ish path. Yeah, road. A little bit dirty. Yeah,
wearing her road, but late 80s, early 90s sweatpants and leotard combo.
Looking
fine.
Looking pretty good, as usual. And she comes along Jim's bike on the side of the road.
But tell me, how do we know this is Jim's bike?
Well, obviously it's Jim's bike because it says Jim on
it. Has a little license plate that says Jim? Like... All of the vehicles we see Jim use so far have his name written on the back of it.
Yep. Because in the swamp, all three people. Well, no, Jim comes across a lot of strange people.
Yeah, a lot of strangers come across and start
almost
just touching
but
Jim
they're always
the chest.
Looking specifically for Jim. It would almost be better to not have his name on stuff because then they're gonna be like, oh, well, I know Jim's around. His bike's right here.
Yeah.
I'll just hang out right here.
Kidnap him.
It might take 2 hours, but whatever. I can snipe him from that tree.
Shoot him with a bow.
A lot easier to find the kid everyone's looking for. Gee, I hope nothing happens to him in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway,
so it's a mishmash of stuff happening in the swamp. We see Jim's fishing, and then it cuts to Crown Prince also in the swamp at some pit, and he's about to we see him untwisting his mason jar full of the blood mist, and just as he opens it, Swamp Thing shouts no, and it scares the shit out of him, and he closes it, but it also, like, Jim and Jim's mom both hear it and come rushing, but like I guess they're far enough away that
you can't distinguish what.
Yeah, what called, and they're also far enough away that Swamp Thing and Crown Prince can have it's a lengthy conversation.
Yeah, before they arrive,
where we learn that that Crown Prince is dumping toxic waste into the swamp because his lab doesn't have a toilet.
Also, in this scene, something curious does happen. Crown Prince refers to Swamp Thing as Dr. Holland.
Excuse me. This is the first reference we've had to Dr. Holland, Swamp Thing's human form, the man who was burned by chemicals and thrown into the swamp. And, what happened? Oh, yeah, so Crown Prince is explaining that he's dumping toxic waste in the swamp, and he wants to save the world from hatred. And this is what I'm talking about, where I don't understand his plan, where it's just like, how are you saving the world from hatred when you're making this murder juice
that makes people hate?
Yeah, and you tested it out on yourself first. So if it did work, you'd be dead, and you wouldn't be able to, because it's like, maybe it doesn't work well, like we've seen. It's because it hasn't worked on him, but it's like...
But clearly he's got aspirations for a better future. He's just... Right now, he's working for a boss who wants him to make evil stuff, and he's gonna do, his damnedest at making evil stuff so he can get ahead and get that, evil associate's degree, I guess. And
I'm not exactly sure how...
Like, how do you get into working for a guy like Arcane?
I don't know.
Like, what kind of places do you have to work for, go to school for? What kind of degree do you need?
Something that takes you into a small to medium-sized town in Louisiana that has access to a swamp and caves, I guess, because his lab looks like a cave.
That is true.
But yeah, so Swamp Thing takes the jar from him, and Crown Prince just like, all right, peace, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
He literally just anymore. Like backs away, and he's just like, good, yeah, not my fucking problem. My solution to this problem was to flush it down the toilet.
Yeah. And now that I can't do that, the swamp is the next best thing, and since you've stopped me, it's your problem now.
And so Swamp Thing is trying to put the lid back on.
Yeah,
how did on the mason jar, and then it just kind of goes flying out of his hands.
Plops right out of those hands.
And then he sets it down on a log, the now smoking jar, because as soon as the lid comes off, it just starts pouring out smoke. So he sets that on a log, and goes to try to pick it up again, but accidentally kicks the lid into the hole. And that's when we hear Tressa come calling for Jim. And so Swamp Thing's gotta just get out of there.
Yep. Priorities.
So Tressa doesn't see him.
Don't let yourself be seen before you save somebody.
Yeah, so you prevent someone from breathing in what you literally were just told was toxic waste.
Yeah, it's an evil gas. There's no question about it.
Yeah, it was... Yeah, he literally... The only thing it's been referred to as so far has been toxic waste.
Yeah, don't worry about that. It's fine.
Yeah, you just don't want your identity identified.
But yeah, anyway, Teresa inhales a lot of that gas.
She
pretty
like
much
gets
all of it.
She gets so close to it, and she's just
covered.
like, "What is this gas?" I don't know why I gave her a southern accent. She is from Philadelphia.
Well, she's been in the swamp at least a few months now, and the swamp rubs off on you.
Yeah. Although you don't really hear a lot of people speaking with a southern accent.
Not in the swamp, at least, because
Arcane has a British accent.
40% of the population is from Philadelphia.
That's a good point. So what happens next?
After that, then we're in the house after that point.
Oh yeah, Jim shows up and they go back to the house.
Yep.
And Mom's like, "Oh, I need to take a shower."
And she gets cleaned up and then changed to go out.
And during this, Jim's making a sandwich or something. They cut to that.
And then they cross paths on the stairway, and at this point...
Wait. No. It's after she takes the shower. Jim's making the sandwich. Then it cuts to her just a gratuitous shot of her in her room putting on leggings, just showing off them gams.
But I think the technical purpose of this scene was to show that she's still got the funk on her.
Yeah, because she was like smelling her hands, even though
Steamed
it was
hams?
steamed hams, yes. But even though it was already shown that
Sorry.
that Crown Prince already said it's like, oh, I thought it'd be best to make it with no smell.
But yeah, apparently it has some kind of stench to it.
A little bit, or maybe it has like a residue on it, because she was just standing in smoke.
Yeah.
But yeah, they meet on the stairs, and she just dips her finger in Jim's sandwich that he's eaten, and Jim rightfully kind of looks at her with murder in his eyes.
But there's a little bit of a second guess you can kind of see in his face, too, from the feeling he's got, because...
Yeah, he's like, I don't normally feel like killing my mom when she does that, but today I do.
Yeah, and then he creeps his way up the stairs.
Yeah. And Mom goes out to... Oh, she's going to buy a wedding gift for people in Philadelphia, so she's going to the art gallery. And that's the whole reason Jim doesn't come with her, is because no kid wants to go to an art gallery.
That's right. That was going to be...
But then he was like, maybe we'll meet up for ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
Smooth
he's
talking
his...
Jim actually got himself out of that
he's
one.
really flirting with his mom in this one.
Just showing his skills with just only hanging out with old people.
Yeah, hanging out with his mom and a creature from the swamp.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, speaking of a creature from the swamp, our next scene is Mom... Well, Anton Arcane driving up
creeping
to a
up on
curbside
Mom.
and creeping up on Mom as she's walking through town, it seems like.
And then, yeah, he's basically sexually harassing her, as he always does, but this was 1990s, so it was like he was being an asshole, but he wasn't doing anything that was like criminal. But then he leans in super hard for a kiss, kind of gets a look on his face like he's coming in his pants. He like pushes her away, and then he's like, "Oh, I gotta go."
Can we just say maybe he was a little angry when he had that look in his face?
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe a little bit of a murderous feel.
I don't know. I don't think so. Having seen this full episode, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
But next, Anton gets on the phone and he's just like, "Why did I just come in my pants?" No, he's not. He calls up Dark Prince and he asks why he felt the sudden
urge
to kill Tressa. He tells him to meet him at someplace with his gigantic, hilarious cell phone, which was supposed to look like that must have looked so fucking fancy.
Well, that was a normal late 80s, early 90s car phone.
No, that's a cell phone. He carries that.
Oh, is that one of those ones? Okay, but yeah, it's still like the same shape. Big and clunky.
Yeah. But next we're in
the art gallery.
Art gallery. Tressa's looking around. A lot of garbage.
For an art gallery, yeah, a ton of garbage. And, it's just a little front desk room, but there's a lady sitting at the desk, and it looks like she's got some food there. And, Teresa, anyway, asks her about...
she's looking at a vase, and the lady behind the counter is just like, "Oh yeah, your mother bought something similar to that for some other people at some other time."
So
I don't know why I don't know why I said that. Can you be a dear and turn on that fan?
Oh, that's right. And that's when she blew the blood mist in
as soon as the fan turns on.
The lady's direction.
It is so to signify that someone is being infected by her blood mist, or by the pheromones of the blood mist. They basically just point a fan right at someone's face.
Yeah, and you get swept by the wind.
Yeah.
The blood wind.
And then they just kind of like start going, rah,
she gets primal.
Yeah, she literally pulls a just butcher knife out of like nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And
Then just tries to get over the desk.
and then Tressa knocks over the pedestal with the vase she was looking at, and the woman just beefs it hard, and it's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, badly done scene, but I guess keep the end product because that was worth the entertainment, whether it turns out good or not.
Yeah, and then Tressa rushes outside past a construction worker who also gets infected with the
Catches
mist.
a whiff from her. Well, she's obviously such a fast runner. She kicked up a little bit of wind. And
Oh yeah, definitely.
Henchman holding wrench was
Henchwrench.
Henchman holding wrench was
Henchwrench.
Yep. He's not really a henchman, but
he's a construction worker. He's a.
But
city.
he's still henchman.
He's a henchman
wrench.
for the city.
Henchman holding wrench. Anyway, the wrenchman looks up, takes a big whiff of the blood mist, and then he too chases after Teresa.
Yes, and he's got some cables or something, some wire. And then we cut to the interior of some kind of vehicle where we see the same scene happening of her getting chased, and then we see Anton and Dark Prince talking. Anton just gets bitch slapped because Arcane's just like, why is this happening?
You mean Crown Prince gets...
Crown Prince gets bitch slapped, not Arcane. So they were talking about how, what were they talking about? They were talking about...
something blood mist related.
How Tressa got infected, and Crown Prince was like, well, you told me to keep it, so I decided to dump it in the swamp, and then Dr. Holland, and then I think, that's when he gets slapped. He's like, do not call him that. He's a thing. That thing.
Almost got a title of the show, but not quite.
He almost got it. Yeah, he's just like, she must have run into it in the swamp. And then it cuts to
then it cuts to Teresa.
Yeah.
And is she getting home at that point? Or...
Yeah, she's at home.
Okay.
It's just weird. A lot in the 5 episodes we've watched so far, there is a lot of people that just show up at their house.
Yeah, no, it's fine. They just have people
or just
around.
at their house.
It's the Langford house, though, and it seems like it was quite a community place when
Even
Grandma
though
was
Grandma
living there.
hates the town now, hates what the town is, hated what the town had become.
Right, but she still loved the town for what it was. I felt like.
Yeah. But we see a man there doing
some gardening with some gardener shears.
Yeah, some big old shears, and then he also gets a whiff of her mist, and starts chasing her down, all crazy manic style.
Yep, and she gets through the front door just as he's about to get inside, and she kind of pushes him out. Just at the last second, basically. And he starts trying to get in through a window, and she closes that quick. And then
the weirdest part,
he kind of stumbles from window to window, and then disappears for a little bit.
But then, the weirdest thing is
she bumbles around the house.
The front door and the back door both have giant glass windows on them, and it's not until he gets to the back door that he realizes he could just smash his shears through them.
Unless maybe someone would see him from the front, I don't know, but he was trying pretty hard.
But that's the thing, they seem to be in a murderous rage, and they don't seem to care at all.
Yeah, that's true.
But Tressa gets out. She gets
on the phone first.
Does she?
Yeah, she gets on the phone, and that's when that's when he breaks through the back window. But I don't know if I guess she didn't really get much of a call off at that point, did she?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
But yeah, she gets out into the swamp, and that's when things get a little crazy, because she's escaped from the people, but now she's getting attacked by the swamp.
Yep, the swamp catches a whiff of her.
which
the
raises
blood
some
mist.
implications about what is up with this swamp.
Well, if the swamp is Swamp Thing and Swamp Thing is the swamp and Swamp Thing has a conscience, then does the entire swamp questionably have a conscience?
Yes, so the entire swamp.
If all of the swamp is Swamp Thing, then that's all part of.
I don't think that's the thing. I don't think
it seems less symbolic though and more literal.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think Swamp Thing is the swamp because he's literally talking to it in this episode. He's like, "Why are you doing this? You have to stop."
That's true. He has a very close relation to the swamp, which I guess has a human side of its own.
I guess
not human, but a
conscious
side of its own.
Because it wraps her up in vines and starts pulling her towards that pit that the toxic waste was going to get dumped in.
Well, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah. So then she just starts getting pulled basically into the pit by the vines as Swamp Thing
has a conversation. It has like a 2-minute conversation with the trees and the swamp itself, but we don't ever hear anything of what the swamp is saying. We just hear
just Swamp
we just basically
Thing
hear
side
Swamp
of it.
Thing.
It's a phone conversation with no other side.
We basically hear Swamp Thing begging that it's like, no, stop, don't. And then he pops a root out of his foot and just kind of underground. Not Roger Rabbit, Bugs Bunny is it underground to make a little stump for her to grab onto, he can have more time to reason with the swamp.
And finally, after a bunch of talking with the swamp, finally the swamp breaks off a little bit of its vine and pretty much lets Teresa free.
Yeah.
The blood mist, the red mist surrounding the foliage is all kind of dissipates a little.
Was it the red mist, or was that just signifying that the trees were mad?
I don't know. It could be a combination. It is a red something. I figured they had something to do with each other, but
yeah. But then Arcane and Crown Prince show up, and Arcane leans his arm on what he thinks is a tree branch, but is actually another arm, the arm of the swamp. And he gets captured by Swamp Thing, basically, and he's actually Swamp Thing threatens to tree him, which, in all rights, he probably should.
it could have just been over right there.
Yeah.
Really would have been a good decision, but Swamp Thing does the merciful thing and doesn't tree him.
It basically blackmails his life for a cure for Teresa.
Yeah.
And, so they go to Crown Prince's mobile lab.
Yeah, well, of course he's got one.
And he's just like, oh, this could take where to begin, and then Swamp Thing very helpfully is just like, at the beginning. It's just
of course.
Fuck you.
That's the obvious.
And like that was helpful, he then picks up a beaker and starts dripping stuff, and almost no time passes, and then we have a cure.
Yes. And in this scene, he also makes a great reveal.
Oh, yeah. So we learn that Crown Prince doesn't have a missing eye. He just has one blue eye and one brown eye, and his brown eye is covered up by his eye patch.
Yep. Kind of the most pointless
reveal ever.
Reveal I've seen, by far.
It actually would have been more mysterious to not show what was under his eye patch, I think. Or actually,
leave it.
Actually, no. It's not that it would actually be. It's
maybe
just that
you think maybe the brown
mysterious.
one's like foggy or something, and he just doesn't see as well. So to keep sharper view on things, he just keeps the one covered up.
Maybe.
1990, they might not have glasses like
but
that. But
it doesn't matter. Spoiler alert, I don't think we're going to see much of Crown Prince ever again, like any other character that's shown up for an episode.
Yeah, he seems pretty episodic here. But he does come up with a a cure.
A reverse mist.
Yep, the reverse mist, in which you need to...
Now in cool Mountain Blue flavor.
Ooh, Mountain Blue. That should, counteract all the red that she inhaled before.
She inhaled a ton of red.
And just kind of, you mix red and blue, you got a nice,
Healthy purple.
Yeah. That sounds like the color you want to be. So anyway, they give it to Jim.
Yes, because as Anton explains, the
mist really shouldn't affect...
Well, no.
Oh.
It's the twisted irony of this is that the only way to give her the antidote is someone has to get close enough to give it to her.
Oh yeah.
But when you get close to her, you'll want to kill her.
But the only person who really doesn't...
that's
Jim.
when Swamp Thing's just like, the love of a child will save us today.
Yeah.
And it does. Because he shows up, he gets a little... He starts approaching her, and she's just like, "No, leave me alone. Just leave me literally in the middle of the swamp of this clearing." And he's like, "No, it's okay. I've got an antidote." And that's the thing that was my thing, where it's just like, well, why couldn't someone get kind of close and just shout, "I've got this antidote here. I'm gonna put it down and back away. Take 3 deep breaths."
Yeah.
From this jar.
Well, because that would be too logical, and Swamp Thing isn't about that, obviously.
Yeah, no.
Swamp Thing the show, not Swamp Thing the character.
Or why couldn't he
Maybe
just
both.
make one of his vines come out of his toe again? And
not possible. Used up too much swamp energy. Him and the swamp aren't exactly on good terms after the whole, making the swamp kind of look like a second fiddle here.
Well, I thought
with the
at some point
to kill Teresa.
I thought at some point
the swamp really believed in that killing Teresa, and Swamp Thing, changed its mind against probably its will. So, yeah, I think Swamp Thing's I forgot what we were talking about.
Jim was giving Tressa the antidote.
Oh, that's right. And she takes 3 big whiffs, and
apparently it works.
It works out. Jim gives her a big hug.
And then
because he's definitely the best way to tell, whether or not anybody wants to kill her, because he never really wanted to kill her the entire episode.
Yeah. And then roll credits of Swamp Thing looking off in the distance, kind of nodding.
Yep, everything's okay in the swamp once again. Swamp Thing probably taking credit for all of that. It seemed like
I stopped this bad thing from happening.
Keeping my swamp safe again. Yep. Power of a kid.
Yeah. So, what would you rate this?
Ooh, the Bloodwind. The Blood Mist, the Bloodwind, the Brood Witch. I would say, this one wasn't awful, but it did once again, go really quick. I guess the only upside to this one in my mind would be that the mystery or the what's going on in the episode lasted all episode, because right from the beginning we had the reveal of this blood water.
Yeah, the gas.
Blood water that turns to gas, blood liquid, and blood. And I think overall we've got like a 5.
Yeah, I'd go with about a 5. It wasn't terrible. I didn't mind the character of what's his name?
Crown Prince.
Crown Prince, yeah. I want to call him Darkchild.
You do see that his name is Crown Prince in the ending credits too.
Mm-hmm. And what is it? What else was it? The thing that threw me off is just like, how many people work for Arcane? He's got some goons. We've seen a goon get treed.
He's got goons. Does he have any kind of connection to the city other than just being a always around member of these towns?
He's just there. Yeah, he's just there. He has some kind of connection, but
not quite established, but maybe soon. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't a terrible episode.
I would say it's better than the last. I liked it more than the last two that I watched.
Yeah, the last one had the crazy dream sequences.
Yeah, that was too much.
I like the dream sequences. It was weird that they got those approved to get put on.
It felt like a weird music video to me half the time because of those.
A little bit, yeah. But yeah, it was a fine episode.
Yeah, then the one before that being Treasure, that was just laughably bad because
that one just was like that had too much stuff going on. If it had
well, that one had the crazy killer lady and the the gardeners or the handyman's kid.
The handyman's kid that's pretending to be his uncle.
The hell was his name? If only there was a way to find out. Bucky. Rebecca.
But yeah, I think that's about it. I don't know, this didn't really do anything too groundbreaking in the series, other than we did hear Alec Holland's name for the first time.
Yeah, said out loud. Even though it's not the first time we've seen Alec Holland's name.
Oh yeah, there was we've seen his gravestone.
Yep, early in an episode, I believe it's the second episode, when Jim's visiting Grandma's fresh grave, you see at the beginning
right
of the
next
scene.
To hers.
Yeah, the grave that you're looking at first is Alec Holland's, and then it pans over to where Jim's at, which is like one plot or two plots over.
Yeah.
So that's an odd coincidence that Grandma and the swamp are so closely,
real close together. Yeah.
Related now.
All right. So yeah, I think that'll about do it.
Yeah. Concluding episode 5.
Yeah, the Bloodwind.
5 on, halfway to double digits.